Hi guys, welcome back to my channel 32 Happy Teeth. Today we are going to study osteology, in particular anterior cranial fossa of the skull. So let's get started. So guys, this is a picture of skull and this portion is called as the anterior cranial fossa, the portion which is covered in green color, and behind this anterior cranial fossa lies the middle cranial fossa, and this is the posterior cranial fossa. The middle and the posterior cranial fossa is divided by this petrous part of the temporal bone, and this is this wing shaped structure bone. This is called as the sphenoid bone. You can see that this is the lesser wing of the sphenoid and this part is the greater wing of the sphenoid. This is the body of the sphenoid bone. Okay, so and this is the cribriform plate, cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. You can see that it has small holes on this. So why is it present? Why is the hole present on the cribriform plate? Because the ethmoidal nerves can pass through these what do you say, holes. Okay, and this cribriform plate has a sieve like structure. Okay, now moving on to the next slide. In this particular slide, we are going to learn about the landmarks which are present in the anterior cranial fossa and some of the middle cranial fossa landmarks too. Okay, so starting with the first landmark, which is the frontal crest. What is the significance of this frontal crest? Is that it gives attachment to falx cerebri. Okay, now behind this frontal crest lies your cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. I have already told you in the previous slide that cribriform plate appears sieve like. Why? Because there are tiny holes present on this plate so that the ethmoidal nerves can pass through these holes. Not just ethmoidal nerves, the olfactory nerves also pass through these holes. Okay, and you can see that there is anterior ethmoidal nerve, anterior ethmoidal canal and posterior ethmoidal canal. And what are all the contents which pass through these canals? It's the anterior ethmoidal nerves and vessels, and in the posterior there is posterior ethmoidal nerves and vessels. And between this frontal crest and the cribriform plate lies a foramen which is called as the foramen cecum. Okay, and this foramen cecum is a blind foramen. It just connects upper part of the nose with superior sagittal sinus. That is, there is emissary vein which passes through these cecum, and this emissary vein connects the upper part of the nose with your superior sagittal sinus. Okay, so and one more thing is that this anterior cranial fossa is made up of majorly from the orbital plate of frontal bone. Okay, now after this thing, that is behind the anterior cranial fossa, lies your middle cranial fossa, and the major bone which constitutes this area is your sphenoid bone. I've already told you that the sphenoid bone has lesser wing, greater wing, and the body. But the body is further divided into three parts. Tuberculum sella. This portion is called as the tuberculum sella, the upper portion, and the lower portion is called as the dorsum sella, and the center portion of the body of the this sphenoid bone is called as the hypophyseal or pituitary fossa. Okay, and this is the area where your pituitary gland is located. Now moving on to the foramens which are present on the sphenoid bone. So before starting with the foramens, I just wanted to tell you that these foramens and their contents, they are already written in the upcoming slides. So here I will just verbally tell you the location of these foramens and what are their contents are. You will get it in the written form in the upcoming slides. Okay, so let's get back to where we were, that is superior orbital fissure. Okay, superior orbital fissure, it is present between the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone and the greater wing of the sphenoid bone. In this picture you won't get a better view of the location of the superior orbital fissure, but it is present between the lesser and the greater wing of the sphenoid bone. And there is one more canal which is present, that is optic canal, and this optic canal is present on the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. So optic canal is present on the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone, and the superior orbital fissure is present at the junction of the lesser and the greater wing of the sphenoid bone. And after this superior orbital fissure lies your foramen rotundum. This is the foramen rotundum, and after that comes your foramen ovale, and after foramen ovale comes your foramen spinosum. Okay, suppose this is your brainstem. Okay, that is your medulla oblongata and pons. Okay, now this will descend in the form of spinal cord into this foramen magnum. From the pons arises a cranial nerve, which is your fifth cranial nerve, that is your trigeminal nerve. So here it is arising from the brainstem, that is your pons. Then it goes here, this is your trigeminal ganglia, and here it divides into three parts, v1, v2, v3. So the first part dips down into the foramen ovale. Okay, and this is your mandibular nerve. Now the rest two, they move forward, and the second part, it dips down into the foramen rotundum, that is your maxillary nerve. And the last part, it continues further and it dips down into the superior orbital fissure, and that is your ophthalmic nerve. Okay, so this is how the trigeminal nerve, the various parts of the trigeminal nerve, enters their respective foramens. Now what is left? Okay, here this is foramen magnum. I've already told you that the brainstem, it descends downwards and then it forms your spinal cord, and which is the foramen from which it descends? It descends in the foramen magnum. Okay, so now we are done with this. Now moving on to the next slide. Okay, so this is your olfactory bulb, and below this olfactory bulb is your cribriform plate. So you can also say that olfactory bulb, it lies above the cribriform plate. There are nerves, olfactory nerves, which are arising from the bulb, and there is a tract which is the olfactory tract. It is also emerging from the bulb and it enters the forebrain. And these olfactory nerves, as I said you in the previous slide, these olfactory nerves, they descend downwards, they go through, they enter these holes on the cribriform plate and they descend into the nose. And the only cranial nerve emerging from the forebrain is, that is your first cranial nerve. Of course it is your olfactory nerve. And the bone forming most of the anterior cranial fossa is, of course, your orbital plate of the frontal bone. And the nerve, cranial nerve, which is arising from the pons, it is your trigeminal nerve. This is your forebrain, this is your midbrain, and this is your hindbrain, which constitutes of pons and medulla. Now trigeminal nerve is arising from pons. This is your trigeminal ganglia, and here it gives off three branches, which is v1, v2 and v3. And all of these branches, they run forward, and one of the branch, that is v3, it dips down into the foramen ovale and forms the mandibular nerve. The rest two moves further upwards and forwards, and v2 then dips into the foramen rotundum and forms the maxillary nerve, whereas the last one, it further moves forwards and it enters the superior orbital fissure and it forms your ophthalmic nerve. Okay, now v1 in and v2, so v1 and v2 is purely sensory in nature, whereas v3 is mixed. So in this particular slide, we have all the foramens and their contents, which we will be going through one by one. So starting with the foramen cecum. So foramen cecum, as I told you before, I have already explained you all the landmarks. So this is a sort of revision of what you have already learned in the previous slide. Okay, now let's start. Foramen cecum. What does it contain? It contains emissary vein and it connects the upper part of the nose with the superior sagittal sinus. Now you people also revise all these foramens along with me, so that it will be easier for you to remember and recollect all the locations which I told you in the previous diagram. Now foramen rotundum, what does it contain? It contains v2, that is maxillary nerve. Now coming to the foramen ovale, we already know that the first branch of this trigeminal nerve, it dips down into foramen ovale and forms the mandibular nerve. So we already know one content. Now there are other three more contents which are present in foramen ovale. How are you going to remember it? Remember male, M-A-L-E. So mandibular nerve, A for accessory meningeal artery, L is for lesser petrosal nerve, and E is emissary nerve connecting the cavernous sinus with pterygoid plexus of veins. Sorry, it's not nerve, there is emissary vein. Please correct it over here. It's not nerve, it's vein. This is a typing mistake, I'm sorry. So okay, now moving on to the next foramen, which is your superior orbital fissure. So we have already learned that the V1, it goes forward and then it enters the superior orbital fissure and it forms the ophthalmic nerve. So it's clear. Now moving on to the anterior ethmoidal foramen and posterior ethmoidal foramen. These two foramens are very easy to remember. They contain their respective nerves and vessels, anterior ethmoidal nerves and vessels and posterior ethmoidal vessels respectively. And the foramen of cribriform plate, we all know that olfactory nerve rootlets, they descend downwards, they pass through the cribriform plate holes and they enter the nose. Now the last one in this slide is your optic canal. Where was it present? It was present in the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. And where was superior orbital fissure present? Yes, it was present between the lesser and the greater wing of the sphenoid bone. And how will you remember this optic canal content? By remembering OOS, okay? Or you can remember it as SO, like SO. So add one more O. It is SOO. So there's optic canal, optic nerve, ophthalmic artery, and sympathetic plexus. It's very easy to remember. Okay, so learn all these foramens and their contents very, very nicely, as all of these questions, these foramens, they have been asked in many of the NEET MDS exams in one form or the other. So by heart them. So don't just mug up. As I have explained you the landmarks and their positions on the skull. So if you remember the diagram in your mind very well, you just memorize the diagram, then you can very easily remember all these foramens, and these contents are also very easy. Just remember the diagram. This is a basic picture of your pathway of nerve conduction. Okay, here the input is carried by the sensory or the efferent nerves. It goes to the CNS. Then the CNS provides your output, which is carried by the efferent nerves, and it can either go to the muscles and form motor nerves, or it can go and have this ANS involvement, which is your autonomic nervous system. And this ANS is further divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. And over here, this is your vertebrae, which is your cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and sacral vertebrae. Sympathetic nervous system, it arises from your thoracic and lumbar vertebrae, whereas your cervical and sacral, it gives the origin of your parasympathetic nervous system. And these four are the ganglions, which are your parasympathetic ganglions present in your head and neck region, and these are otic, ciliary, submandibular, and pterygopalatine ganglion. Okay, so now in this diagram, you can see that this is your dorsal root ganglia. Okay, this is your sensory nerve, this is your motor nerve, this is your sympathetic chain. So the sympathetic chain, the sympathetic nerves, they are arising from the sympathetic chain. So where was the sympathetic chain arising from? The vertebrae, that was thoracic and the lumbar, which I already told you in the previous slide. Okay, now as these nerves, that is the sympathetic nerve, as it ascends upwards towards the CNS, that is your brain, it encounters three ganglias, which are superior, middle, and inferior. First it will encounter inferior, then middle, and then superior. And all of these three ganglias, they are present within the neck. Now let me ask you a question. Do you know the difference between a ganglion and a nucleus? Okay, I will tell you what's the difference. See, if a collection of cell bodies is present within the central nervous system, then that collection of cell bodies is called a nucleus. But if the same cell body collection is present outside the CNS, it is called as the ganglion. So these three, superior, middle, inferior, these three collection of cell bodies, they are present outside the CNS, hence it is called as ganglia. But if these cell body collection, if it would have been present within the central nervous, would it have been called? Yes, of course it would have been called the nucleus. Now we are clear here. Now moving forward, so as these what do you say, as this sympathetic nerve, it ascends upwards, it relays in superior cervical ganglion, and then it enters the brain. Now, one more important thing which I'm going to tell you is that when there are some arteries, okay, like common carotid artery, internal carotid artery, or vertebral artery, okay, now you get my point. Okay, so these major arteries, they have this what do you say, the sympathetic nerve, they wind around these major arteries. Okay, so this is called as the sympathetic plexus, and this sympathetic plexus, they originate from where? From the superior, middle, and the inferior cervical ganglion. So these cervical ganglions, they give rise to this what is a sympathetic plexus. Now, where it is going to be helpful? In another video, I'll be teaching you the middle cranial fossa. In that middle cranial fossa, we will learn about the carotid canal. So one of the content of carotid canal, or you can say as the foramen lacerum, is internal carotid artery. So how the sympathetic plexus, which I'm telling you here, how is it going to be helpful? So if you say that internal carotid artery is the content of foramen lacerum, then you will also remember that sympathetic plexus is also one of the content. So likewise, you will remember that two of the contents. Okay. So am I clear? Okay. Now, so what did I say? That sympathetic plexus, it arises from the superior cervical ganglion, inferior, as well as the middle cervical ganglion. Now moving on to the next slide. Okay, so this particular slide is actually just, or you say, a revision of all the points which we have already learned in this osteology video. So let's get down to the revision. So the first point is only cranial nerve emerging from the forebrain. What was that? It was olfactory nerve. That is your first cranial nerve. Second point, which is the bone forming most of the anterior cranial fossa? Yes, of course, it was orbital plate of the frontal bone. Now, only nerve emerging from the pons, it's trigeminal nerve. Foramen rotundum is situated in which bone? Sphenoid bone. Foramen which lies in the lesser wing of sphenoid bone. This I told you twice or maybe thrice also. That is your optic canal. And it was that superior orbital fissure in between the lesser and the greater wing. Now, what were the parts of sphenoid bone? Majorly, it had three parts, which is the lesser wing, greater wing, and the body of the sphenoid bone. The body of the sphenoid bone was further divided into the tuberculum sella, the hypophyseal or pituitary fossa, and the third part, which is the dorsum sella. Now, and one more part of the sphenoid bone, it is called as the pterygoid plates, that which we know that is the lateral and the medial pterygoid. Now, if the question in MCQ question, if it comes like where is the pituitary gland situated, and if suppose if there are three options, fourth, I'm just, maybe it is none of the above or all of the above, whatever it is. If these three, pituitary fossa, sella turcica, or body of sphenoid, if these three are present, how will you prefer this answer? Because all of these three mean the same. So the first preference should be your pituitary fossa, the second should be your sella turcica, and the third should be your body of sphenoid. So this is how you are going to mark your answer. So remember, this point is very important. It will be very helpful for you if you are preparing for NEET MDS. Now, ganglion, I already told you in the previous slide that the collection of cell bodies outside the CNS, and nucleus is the same, the collection of cell bodies inside the CNS. Now, sympathetic plexus, it originates from, yes, of course, we discussed it before, which is superior, middle, and inferior cervical ganglion. And the last point of this video is all the sympathetic fibers in the neck and the head region are. Now, here you need to remember, you need to use your common sense. What I said, that there, when the sympathetic nerve, it ascends upwards, and when it goes through the inferior, then the middle, and then the superior cervical ganglion, where does the relay occur? The relay occurs outside the CNS, that is in the superior cervical ganglion, in the neck only, because all these ganglions are present in the neck. So the nerves, the sympathetic nerves, or the fibers which are entering into your face, or you can say into your brain, head and neck head region, they're already relayed, that is they are postganglionic. Now you get my point. So the sympathetic fibers of the head and neck region are your postganglionic. Okay, so post ganglionic sympathetic fibers. So if someone, you have to these are very little things, minute things. If you just understand these minute details, you don't have to learn or mug up anatomy. Anatomy is a very interesting and easy topic. Trust me guys, it is very interesting and very easy, but you just have to make a little effort in understanding in these small points. Like I told you about this sympathetic plexus or this postganglionic sympathetic fibers. Now you know one thing, that all of the sympathetic fibers which are going into your head and neck region are sympathetic one. I'm talking about the sympathetic, not about the parasympathetic. Parasympathetic can be preganglionic or postganglionic, but sympathetic fibers will be postganglionic. Where? In the head and neck region. Why? Because they have already relayed in the superior cervical ganglion. See over here in the bracket, mostly superior cervical ganglion में relay हो जाता है. Okay, now so this ends today's video. Alright guys, this was all for today. I hope I made you understand anatomy a little bit more, a little bit in a better way. And if I really helped you, if I helped you even a bit, then please like my video and do share it with your friends, because your friends might also be struggling with anatomy, because we have already conceived in our minds that anatomy is the toughest of all. But trust me guys, it's not. It's the best subject, it's the most interesting subject, and you will enjoy it. The thing which it requires is a basic understanding. Just understand, try to understand the concepts, try to understand where the foramens are located or where these landmarks are and where these nerves go through, and it will be very easy for you. And I am here to make this happen, and anatomy is one of my favorite subjects. I will help you, I'll try to help you. I'm not 100% sure, but yes, of course I will try to make it as more easy for you, more understanding for you as much as I can. So if you like my video, so please hit the like button and share it with your friends, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel and also hit that bell icon, so that whenever I post a new video you get a notification. Otherwise you will be missing all these anatomy videos which is eventually going to come very soon. And there is a humble request from my side that most of the audiences of my channel have still not subscribed my channel, so please go and subscribe my channel. If you are watching it, if you are finding it helpful, so please subscribe. That will be very helpful for me. It will encourage me to make more and more videos. Okay guys, so this was all for today. Thank you, take care, bye bye.